Hey, welcome back. It's time for a new game. Zeldas are my favorite. They're the best games to play. Even the first Zelda kind of worked well. I know them, I'm a little familiar with them, so I can play and talk at the same time. It's just perfect. And I like playing these games. When was the last time I played A Link to the Past? It's been at least 10 years, probably longer. I don't know if I've ever even beaten it. I think I might have, but I definitely never beat the first one. And I'm gonna beat this one. Wait, I forgot about the crosshair thing. It's like a golden eye or something. Okay. Should I try to think of a funny name? That's not what's happening here. No. Okay. Ooh. This game is great. We didn't actually have this one when I was a kid. We had the first Zelda and we had Ocarina and we had a Super Nintendo. We might have gotten it later, but I know I've played it. I played it a bunch, but I don't think it was we didn't have it at our house. You know, I remember playing it. I don't think I've ever mentioned this before. But my mom, when I was young, she used to clean people's houses for money, obviously. Look at this. They already give you hearts. Like this game, the first freaking Zelda, they gave you no hearts. It's ridiculous. And so I remember going with her to people's houses. And she would let me play, like, a lot of the houses that we went to, their kids, they had kids, and they had video games. So a lot of the times, the kids would have video games that I didn't have. So this was one of the games, I think. I remember this one person. I don't think I ever met the son, but the son had he's like a really nerdy kid, and it seemed like, because he had all these video games. Well, I liked him, but he's older. He was in high school, and he had all these video games. I remember he had his bunch of books in his room, like Harry Potter and stuff. I'm not 100% familiar with this game, but I knew about this. I remember playing it at his house. It was so cool to go to people's houses and play games that I didn't have. I mean, I had friends when I was really young, like 5 years old. And it was fun to go to their houses and play. I remember this one kid, we had a Nintendo 64, and he had games like that I never heard of. He had this crazy game called Quest 64, and I played that. I remember playing that and being like, this is so cool. A lot of people kind of hate that game, but since it was a game I never heard of, I was like, what is this? This is crazy. And he had, it's weird that I remember this, because I haven't thought about it in 23 years, because I was 5 years old. It was when I was in kindergarten, because when I was in kindergarten, you would only go to school for half the day. So for the other half of the day, I would go with my mom to where she was cleaning houses. And then when I was in first grade, I went to school the whole day, and I wasn't with her. So this was only when I was in kindergarten. So it was when I was 5 years old. I remember going to he had what was it called? Pokemon Puzzle League? I never heard of that. I remember playing that a lot at his house. And it was just me by myself. There was nobody else there. And my mom was just trying to clean. And it's like, okay, just do whatever. So I would play the games that he had. It's so good. The leap between the first Zelda and this Zelda is crazy. Look at how... And this, when I was a kid, this wasn't really the kind of game that I liked. I liked RPG games more, like Mario RPG. But when I played this, it was so well made, like you could tell even as a kid, like how great it is. Because then you play a game... Well, here's another one. So, I was going to talk a little bit about Tolstoy today, but I'll just do... This is what I like to do. The first episode, just talk about the game. And one of the kids at my... my mom cleaned for, one of the people, they had a game for Super Nintendo called Bubsy. I remember playing that game, and I didn't really like it. It was for Super Nintendo. I mean, as a kid, you don't really understand that you don't like something. You're just like, oh, this is hard, or this is weird. But I remember playing Bubsy and being like, I don't like this. But like, it's similar to this, where it's like, well, I just didn't like those kind of platformy action games. But like, Zelda is so good. Like, the thing that I liked in games was the RPG, like growing levels and getting equipment, and like, I really liked Secret of Mana or Chrono Trigger. There weren't a lot of RPG games for Nintendo 64. I guess I just played the Final Fantasies, maybe. I don't know. For PlayStation. Yeah, at that point we had a PlayStation 2, and I remember playing Final Fantasy X and stuff like that. Don't you have to push this or something? Let's go. Remember Bubsy? So what can I say about this game? Yeah, it was always interesting to go to those people's houses, because like usually their kids were a lot older, so like they would... I remember playing... He had an Ocarina of Time save, and I was playing it, and he was like all the way at the end of the game. I was like, what is this? I've never seen this. This is crazy. He's at the end of Ocarina of Time. Is that possible? I think I do what like kids do. I probably deleted more than my fair share of games, but like they weren't there, so I don't know. I feel like they would have gotten mad at me if I did that. I feel like I would have done something like that. Like I would have deleted his Ocarina of Time save. But if I did, I probably would have remembered him yelling at me or something. Because that would have been a huge deal. But yeah, in 1998, I was 5. So all the memories I have of going to people's houses was 1998. That's kind of when Ocarina came out, I think. Maybe it was 90... When did it come out? I want to look. I think this game came out in 93, which is when I was born. Ocarina of Time. November 21, 1998. That's interesting. Because when you think back, like Ocarina of Time was always there. It was always a part of my childhood. But it came out at the... So I wouldn't have gotten it until 1999 when I was 6. That's like... oh no, she's in the basement, right? Okay, gotta end in a couple minutes. That was fun, right? Was that fun? Was it more fun to talk about video game stuff or to talk about how life is meaningless? It's kind of fun to bounce back and forth. The Super Nintendo was such a crazy jump from the Nintendo. Because I remember in 1998, like, playing old Nintendo games and feeling like, oh, these are so old. But all I had was the Super Nintendo and a couple N64 games at that point. So it would be like someone saying now, oh, these Wii games are so old. But nobody would really say that. Maybe a little bit, but you still play them. But like most NES games are unplayable. They're just... Or you could play it for like 15 minutes and then you've played the whole thing. Pretty much, and it's kind of boring. What was the other NES game I played? We had a bunch of NES games where you're like a space pilot or something. Like, did we have Gradius? I don't know. We had a game where you were like it was a top-down view and you're kind of flying. I remember, and you were just shooting things. That's like a top-down view and you're flying straight forward and then enemies would come at you. And there was like, it was impossible. I would never get past like the second level. Bum 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 bum. I gotta listen to the music. The music in this game's so good. Bum 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 bum. I have the map. Where am I going? Bum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum. Bum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum bum. Okay. So yeah, this game's a little bit more, or at least I remember it more, so like I kind of know where to go. Zelda 1 is like, I had to look up where every single dungeon was. Oops. So I guess that's it for today. Oh, what's in this treasure chest? In this game, you can already tell how much easier this game is. The first game, I would have already died like 10 times. How do I use the boomerang? What button is it? Oh, wait, continue. Which button is the boomerang button? It's not A. Oh, it's Y. Okay, cool. Tomorrow we'll find Zelda. Okay. This is fun, right? I'm having fun. I'm excited to play through this game. It's been a really, 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 really long time. And I've only played it through like once, at the most. And it's one of the best Zelda games. I still like Ocarina better, but I guess I got my nostalgia. Ocarina and Wind Waker. I like the 3D ones probably a little bit better, but I got my nostalgia goggles for those, I guess. But see you tomorrow.